Yo, what's up? Let me grab a seat here real quick. All right, so trying to hit some of these other coughs, to see how good I can cough now. I'm improving. No, anyways, I told you guys the other day, I get lots and lots of emails, and you would think every single one is about, hey, can you do a guitar lesson on this song? And most of them, okay, put it to you this way, I'd probably say 75% are, or maybe 80%, but I also get some abstract questions and from subscribers that I want to get to. So we're going to start answering some questions. So this one is kind of funny. Not the question, but what are my top... Here was the question from subscriber Way Cool Jr. You must be a DeMartini fan. What are my top 3 favorite guitar solos? And I thought, yeah, man, that would be a good one. Inquiring minds obviously want to know. So I was like, okay. I started, I put some thought into it, man. I mean, check this out. I mean, I don't want to hold it there too long because I don't want you to read off the paper yet. But, dudes, that's a very hard question. So, I started with 3, I went to 5, then I went to 10, then I went to 15, then I went to 20, and then I went to 25. So what are my top 25 favorite rock/metal guitar solos? Ones that have inspired me, affected me, infected me. And I'm going to make this a 2-part because I may talk a little bit about some of these, all right? They're not in any particular order, okay? And like I said, I actually had fun doing this. I mean, I sat down and just was thinking, taking myself back to the day. Most of these are 80s. Actually, geez, there's a few that are 90s. But let's jump in. This is in no particular order, okay? What are my top 25 favorite rock/metal guitar solos? Okay? First one I put, Dream Theater, Another Day. John Petrucci. I remember 1992. You got to remember the 80s had now passed and music had changed, and bands started wearing flannels and the solos disappeared for the most part, and the technical aspect of music for the most part was gone. A lot of my heroes were like, what the heck just happened? But then, along comes Dream Theater, and I'm pretty sure it was 1992 off the Images and Words album, and the song is Another Day. And what I loved about Petrucci was he was kind of a mix of a lot of my 80s players. Dream Theater was a band in the 80s. I didn't hear of them until Images and Words came out and I heard Pull Me Under. But, I heard touches of Lynch at times, Jakey Lee at times, Malmsteen at times. So, fell in love with Dream Theater. I still love Dream Theater. They're the musicians' band, and John Petrucci is just flawless. He's amazing. He's melodic. He's technical. He's just brilliant. So Another Day, and for some of you guys, maybe you'll want to look these up and check them out for yourself. Listen to the solo in Another Day, okay? Number 2, like I said, we're going to split this in half. I'll do maybe 12, or I'll do 13 of them in this, and then we'll do a part 2, because I don't know how long I can record on my iPhone here. Would be Dokken, In My Dreams. George Lynch. What a great solo, man. I mean, I remember being glued to MTV, and then recording that video on VHS tape and just studying it and watching it over and over again, and how beautifully brilliant George Lynch's solo is in My Dreams. That one hit me hard, because at that time I was a teenager, and really the influence of music was huge on me at that point in time. Number 3, Rat with Wanted Man. I think the guitar solo that Warren DeMartini does in there is just amazing. I remember a buddy of mine, who used to go back and forth about who's the better guitar player, George Lynch or Warren DeMartini. I wish we had more of Warren, you know. Us 80s guys, we know who he is and stuff, but he's just amazing. I think DeMartini was more fluent in the sense of taking a run and legato or whatever it may be and running the neck with it. You'd think he'd be finished, and he's not. He just keeps going with it. Lynch, they actually are kind of similar in style, but Lynch is just choppy, you know, I don't know. Lynch, just amazing. But anyways, just ironic that I have Dokken and then Rat. So number 4 would be White Lion, the song Wait. Vito Bratta, the guitar player for White Lion at the time, you know, had that little mix of Eddie Van Halen in his playing, and just, you know, you could tell those solos were worked out. He sat down like a lot of us did in the 80s. Solos were very important. Sometimes people would say the solos were great, but the songs weren't good with bands because there was so much attention paid to the guitar solo. I mean, and that may be the case with some bands, but, you know, it is what it is. That's an amazing guitar solo from Wait. Very melodic, a lot of technique, and the harmonic taps and the tapping and all that, tap slides. Number 5 would be, I cheated on this one. I put Ozzy Osbourne, Mr. Crowley, and Diary of a Madman. Obviously, that's Randy Rhoads on guitar. Had a hard time picking between the two, so I'm throwing both those in there. Kind of cheated. To this day, you know, actually all these are just very touching to me. But, you know, it's inspiration. Here in 2016, you know, when I hear the solo to Diary of a Madman or Mr. Crowley, just the genius of Randy Rhoads, right? The next one, Ozzy again, and how could I not put Master Jakey Lee in there with Bark at the Moon? That solo I just thought was equal to Mr. Crowley. Loved it, and still love it. Big Jake fan, no doubt about it. Let's move on. Number 7, I put Van Halen with Show Your Love. Is that what I'm thinking, or I'm the One? But anyways, you guys know Eddie is the reason I play guitar. Just goosebumps, you know. It's not every decade that an innovator is born, and I was born in the right time, man. I just loved it, you know, being inspired by a master like Eddie. 80s Ed is my favorite. Okay, moving on from there, I put Yngwie Malmsteen with Now Your Ships Are Burned. This was hard, guys, because, you know, I had the Malmsteen Rising Force album and was listening to him when he was in Alcatraz and even Steeler with Ron Keel. And so I was a fan of Malmsteen right from the get-go. It's like, where did this guy come from, man? He is really something. So I really like the solo to Now Your Ships Are Burned. You know, I put about 30 minutes into thinking about this. You know, there's so many that I like from Malmsteen, and there's some that still got left out. But yeah, so check that one out if you haven't heard it. Next one of my favorites of the 80s that you don't hear a lot of people talk about would be Matthias Jabs from Scorpions with the solo to No One Like You. The melody in that and the class and style in it impacted me. Just a huge fan of Matthias. Number 10, I put Vinnie Moore with Morning Star. Now that's an instrumental song, and I don't know if it's because I remember working with that. Was that on the Mind's Eye album or Time Odyssey? I think Mind's Eye. But instrumental, but I just really liked it because it's a very technique oriented song, and running through the arpeggios and the concept. Vinnie Moore is amazing. I think he's underrated. He plays with UFO. He's been playing with UFO for a long time. Right? Do I have that right? Because Schenker's, who's Schenker with now? Maybe solo? Not sure. But that's a cool song. If you haven't heard it, check it out. Morning Star from Vinnie Moore. Number 11, Led Zeppelin with Stairway to Heaven. that's one of those epic solos that that's just brilliant. You hear it and it's like, you know, you just look forward to the next little part of it. Still not sick of hearing the solo to Stairway to Heaven. I'm just not. Jimmy Page. Let's keep going here. Next, number 12, I put Racer X with Scarified. Obviously, that's Paul Gilbert before he moved into forming Mr. Big. And he had Bruce Bouillet playing with him, but I'm a huge Paul Gilbert fan, and I can pick lots of them from him, but that one is another kind of like Vinnie Moore, where it's just technique, and by the way, it's instrumental as well. You got to check that out. Now, you can find stuff of him doing it by himself with drum machines and stuff. The Racer X stuff was, mid-'80s, right? Love it, and I love Paul Gilbert. From there, let's move on. This will be the last one for this video. How's that? I wonder if I could fit them all in here. Maybe I will, you guys. Number 13, Dio with Last in Line, Vivian Campbell. I went through a big Vivian Campbell phase. Had, one wall dedicated in my room to all Vivian Campbell posters. I just really liked his style, particularly with Dio. He was a shredder. And then from him, I as I was listening to other players, I came across Gary Moore. Realized, wow, there's some similarities, between Vivian and Gary Moore. Obviously, Vivian being influenced by Gary Moore. But that's a great solo, huh? Last in Line. How much time is on here? Maybe we'll just keep rolling it. Yeah, let's go for it, guys. We'll make this a one part. I may have to speed up a little, though. Number 14 would be Night Ranger, Rock in America. Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson. For you younger cats on this channel, if you haven't heard Night Ranger or Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson in this particular solo, check it out. Jeff Watson did the 8-finger tapping. Just brilliant. And Brad Gillis, what a master. Remember, Brad Gillis played with Ozzy there, too, on Speak of the Devil. And I thought he did a tremendous job. Great player. Now, that would have been more early 80s, right? 83, maybe? Let's move on. Number 15, I put Joe Satriani with Soch Boogie. Now, that's an instrumental. I remember the first time hearing... that was probably the first song I did hear. And then I got really into Joe Satriani and went and got the Not of This Earth, which was the album before it. And obviously Joe Satriani put a stamp on music, right? That's just got that Eddie Van Halen boogie rock vibe to it. Some great choice riffs in there and some technique. Just great song. I was thinking that one or Always With Me, Always With You, which is a really beautiful ballad instrumental. That has just some beautiful stuff in it too. So I kind of cheated again. There's 2 in 1. Moving on, number 16, I'm going to go with Stryper. And I'm cheating on this one too because I put the solo to Surrender and also the solo to Lady. And let me explain myself. Surrender is just it's just a jamming solo. And Lady, it's not a real long solo. That's off the Against the Law album. And just the heartfelt melody that Oz put into that solo is just really tasty, man. Good job, Oz. I did an interview with Oz for Sir Oz Academy last week, and I was talking to him about that. No surprise that Stryper was a huge influence on me, musically and being a Christian. They came into the scene for me like the perfect time. I wasn't of the 70s as far as a player, where I was influenced by Petra per se. So Stryper came in and had their own sound, had their own deal, and great players. So hats off, Mr. Fox. From there, how about some loudness? Akira Takasaki, the song I picked for one of my tops for guitar solo would be a song called Heavy Chains. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. Akira's awesome. They call him the Japanese Eddie Van Halen. I don't say that. He sounded a little bit more like George Lynch to me. I've always liked his tone. I remember my brother was in the Marines, and he'd sent me a tape from Loudness. It was all in Japanese, all the words. I may have it somewhere here in the studio rafters, I'm not sure. But yeah, really, really like Akira. Almost done, guys. Number 18, here's another one that may surprise you. A band called TNT, Ronnie Letecra, and a song called Seven Seas. I was just on fire, loving his playing. That was the first song I think I heard was Seven Seas. And they had the video on MTV and stuff. I think they're back together. The singer joined Skid Row, and that didn't work out, and he's back with, from what I understand, playing with TNT. Great band, great guitar player, and he's different, man. There's something really unique about Ronnie. Let's keep going. Number 19. We can't leave out Eagles with Hotel California, right? That song is just a masterpiece solo. That goes in the, epicness of Stairway to Heaven. Love that solo, the harmonies, the way it's played, the feel, the dynamics, everything in it. Real long, and just, you're so interested. It's like a song within a song. Next one, number 20 would be Extreme with Get the Funk Out, Nuno Bettencourt. Wow, talk about a player. That's the guy that got the closest tone to Eddie Van Halen that I ever heard. Not on every song, but, particularly on Mother Don't Wanna Go to School. Remember that song? Cover song they did. So, just brilliant. Another very nicely, worked out solo with shred and style and attitude. From there, let's move on to Michael Jackson. You're all, what? Yes, we can't forget the guitar solo to Beat It. Remember, man, you guys that are my age in the 80s, remember when you first heard that? It's like, whoa, no one would have had to tell you who's playing that guitar solo, because you already would know after the first 3 seconds it's Eddie Van Halen doing that solo. And with Steve Lukather played on that too, the rhythm or something like that. Moving on, number 22, I put Boston with More Than a Feeling. Childhood memories on that one, and Tom is just an amazing guitar player. He's a master at melody and the harmonies. It's beautiful. I love that solo. Next would be at number 23 is Gary Moore with Still Got the Blues. There's another one with a lot of attitude and very beautiful melody to it and a lot of emotion. Gary Moore, great player. Rest in peace, brother. Number 24, Steve Vai, one of my faves with that. Hard to pick one, man, but I went with the Attitude song. One of the first ones I heard from him. Had the little floppy record that came in the Guitar Player magazine, and it had that song and Little Green Men, I think. But the Attitude song is it delivers the title of it. If you haven't heard it, because this is way back Steve Vai stuff, make sure you check that out. And last but not least, really not least, Dream Theater, again here, John Petrucci, with Metropolis, Part 1. That just takes you on a musical journey, like a lot of stuff does with Dream Theater. But these are ones that impacted me for whatever reason, from that day, that moment in time where I was as a player, and remember how it affected me. At that point I was newly married, and in the workforce. Wasn't teaching. I probably was getting really close to teaching around that time, and Dream Theater just put a new type of drive in me and inspiration. So I would have to go with Metropolis. And that's it, guys. Like, for reals here. And then ones that didn't make the list that should have. See, this just doesn't end, guys. Journey, Stone in Love, Don't Stop Believing, Mother, Father, Judas Priest, You Got Another Incoming, Kiss, Shock Me, Def Leppard, Photograph, AC/DC, Shook Me All Night Long, Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, Mr. Steve Stevens, Scorpions, Rock You Like a Hurricane, definitely impacted me. Van Halen, every solo from the 80s. That's what I put. It's too hard for me with Ed. Pantera, Cemetery Gates, The Dime. Rush, Tom Sawyer. Alex Lifeson, man. Dweezil Zappa is the last one that I jotted down. Let's Talk About It. It's a song he did with his sister Moon Zappa. And it's a great, great solo. So, pretty long video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Click the notifications icon and keep your emails coming. Add me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're interested in guitar lessons, bass lessons, vocal lessons, check my website, rockinguitarlessons.com. Keep rocking.